his children. And so we're doing very
God
well.
is taking care of his children.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
When you meet the pastor, you must know
Ah.
that you.
Oh, but I mean, it's very obvious.
Yeah.
God is taking care of you. I
Yeah,
can see
in
that.
these times, you need God. Because if God doesn't.
And he's doing too good a job as he always does.
You see that thing.
Yeah.
Hope you had a lovely weekend.
Well, it was okay. I was here working, but
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
it went.
I mean, I was at the celebration of coronation of the chief of Adidome.
Oh,
Yes, that's Togbe Kwasini
oh.
Kakaklulu Ajiman.
I'm sure it was a colorful event.
Oh, it was a colorful event. Very colorful event. But this morning on the Super Morning Show dial, there's one that you would certainly love.
We will not go to the IMF today, we will not go to IMF tomorrow, and we are not going as long as the NPP remains in power.
Don't let anybody tell you we are not people of short sight.
Well, so we're not people of short sight.
I mean, the confidence with which it was the vice president, right?
So that's John Kuma.
John Kuma, sorry, who says we are not going to the IMF today, we are not going to the IMF tomorrow.
Finally, we went to the IMF. But this is the vice president, Dr. Bawumia.
This is why we got into the IMF. You were spending too much relative to revenues, which is true. You were borrowing too much, which is true. Your external payments position has deteriorated, which is true.
What has changed?
I don't know what has changed.
Well, this morning on our latest Hotline documentary, A Nation That Begs. A nation that begs. Of course, that's what we have become. Pleading with everybody to help us restructure our debts. In fact, before we got into an IMF program, we had to plead with everybody. Okay? Negotiate. Talk to China on our behalf. Talk to the Paris Club. The IMF, managing director was all over the place trying to make a case for Ghana. After 66 years of independence, 17 times we've gone to the IMF, you ask yourself that simple question. Why do we still get it wrong?
I mean, also interesting because a couple of years ago, we started the Ghana Beyond Aid agenda, and it looks like it would never become reality. But if the size of your debt is almost 90% of the total value of your economy, then you know that you are in a very difficult place.
You're in a difficult place, and it's not because you are not warned. You actually warned. Unfortunately for us, despite all the warnings, we still got into that mess.
And we know what to do, but we still don't want to do what we have
because
to do.
We engage in fiscal populism.
It's just hopeless.
Well, somebody will say there's hope, but it's a hopeless hope. Let's get into the Joy Business Report with Darryl Kwao and the team.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to the Joy Business Report. Coming up this morning, some civil society organizations pressurized government to publish names of third parties involved in Gold for Oil program. Also coming up, government records about 6.4% oversubscription of Treasury bills target, but interest rates surge for the 8th consecutive week, raising concerns about government's debt management strategy. Also in the news, Ghana's program with the IMF gets support from all social actors, including organized labor. We'll hear from the fund's country representative. Great to be with you this Monday morning. Later in the bulletin, ratings agency Fitch assigns 4 Nigerian banks with subsidiaries in Ghana at B negative with stable outlook. We have more coming up on that. But first, though, Some civil society organizations in the energy sector have challenged government to publish names of third parties involved in the Gold for Oil program. Some oil marketing companies have pulled out of the program due to unresolved concerns. Now, speaking to Joy Business, energy analyst and co-chair of the Ghana Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, Dr. Steve Mantiao, said the government must publish names of all intermediary dealers in the program to promote transparency.
There is no disclosure in terms of who is financing the domestic gold purchase. Two, in this transaction, we are going to deploy the services of, or resort to the services of third parties. For instance, who is buying Ghana's gold? I mean, who is selling Ghana's gold on the international market? If it's a broker, then the broker services has to be disclosed. And the third, how much is the broker being paid, for his services? And how does it affect what we receive as a country in terms of returns?
Energy analyst and co-chair of the Ghana Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, Dr. Steve Mantiao. Now, government recorded about 6.4% oversubscription of its treasury bills target of 2.63 billion cedis, but at an increasing cost. According to figures from the Bank of Ghana, interest rates surged for the 8th consecutive week, raising concerns about government's debt management strategy aimed at cutting Ghana's debt. Here's more in this report.
The government has been borrowing heavily on the money market since the beginning of the year, but at a higher cost. This is because it is the only source of borrowing. However, the rising interest rates are expected to increase the domestic interest payment of the government. The figures from the Bank of Ghana indicate that the yield on the 91-day T-bill went up by 0.11% to 21.26%. That of the 182-day bill also shot up, but marginally to 23.95% from 23.93% the previous week. The rate for the one-year bill was, however, 27.82%. Meanwhile, the government got about 2.80 billion cedis from the sale of the short-term instrument. A little above 1.50 billion cedis was tendered for the 91-day T-bill, in which all was accepted. Similarly, about 982 million cedis were offered for the 6-month bill. All the bids were subsequently accepted. Again, the 308 million cedis tendered for the one-year bill were also accepted.
That was a Business Desk report. Now, Ghana's program with the International Monetary Fund has received buy-in from all social actors, including organized labor. That's according to country representative of the IMF, Dr. Leandro Medina. There are fears that the government will struggle to implement the program because of the expected opposition from interest groups. But Dr. Medina insists they have been able to get all these actors on board.
Every mission that they visit Accra, we meet with the authorities, we meet with the Minister of Finance, we meet with the Bank of Ghana, we meet with banks, we meet with the civil society. We have met with the TUC, we have met with KUTA, with the unions. We meet also the opposition in the context of the Parliamentary Finance Committee. So in that sense, we are comfortable that we have been consistently.
You have the buy-in of all these actors.
With all the relevant actors in Ghana, where we have been able to not only to explain what we are really discussing and what are the aims of the discussion, but
Country representative of the IMF, Dr. Leandro Medina. Meanwhile, the visiting IMF staff is expected to engage more stakeholders this week as part of his engagements. George Afe has more.
The team has been in town since last week, and this is part of what they want to describe as regular country engagement. But for some, this visit has come at a time that Ghana has a full program with the IMF to try and turn around the economy. So apart from the regular people that the IMF want to meet, they also want to interact with other interest groups. They believe that this will help them bring all these persons to the table and capture their concerns as part of the IMF program. The staff visit will also help the team track how Ghana is doing to meet the program objectives and progress as expected to meet those key program targets by the end of June this year. This is because when the team meets on November 1, 2023 for Ghana's first program review, they'll be looking at the June 30 quantitative and qualitative targets to see whether Ghana has been able to achieve them. Now, passing these targets will let the staff take their recommendation to the IMF board for approval and disbursement of additional $600 million for Ghana. Some have said this first review is very important because it will help Ghana realize the full benefits of this IMF program in terms of turning around the economy. The visiting IMF staff should leave town for Washington, D.C., USA, before the close of this week.
George, I feel with that report. Now, ratings agency Fitch has assigned 4 Nigerian banks with subsidiaries in Ghana a B negative with stable outlook. The banks are Access Bank, Guarantee Trust Bank, UBA, and Zenith Bank. According to Fitch, the banks are robust with strong buffers. However, they continue to contend with US dollar shortages and the Central Bank of Nigeria's highly burdensome cash reserve requirement. Fitch therefore expects reform progress under the new administration, including the elimination of fuel subsidies and gradual liberalization of the naira. You are listening to the Joy Business Report. In other news, government has been urged to leverage green bonds to finance critical infrastructure projects in the country. According to partner Deloitte Ghana Yaolate, these alternative sources of funding will speed up infrastructure projects. Speaking to Joy Business, Mr. Latte said moving to a green economy will motivate international lenders to finance projects.
Moving to green economy will help us in so many different ways. International development partners and financial institutions will more likely finance green projects than to give or support commercial lending. So historically, we benefited from, let's say, Eurobond and others. If you are in a situation like we find ourselves, and you go to market using the green bonds or using the green market initiative, and what you do is that you are likely to get investors and financiers who support the ESG initiative. Where we find ourselves, green bonds is actually something that we should be considering, and we should have been considering some time ago. But I think it's about time we consider these alternative financing products.
Partner Deloitte Ghana Yaolate, Johnny Walker, the world's #1 Scotch whiskey brand, has announced that Red Label and Black Label will no longer come in cardboard packaging as part of a wider packaging strategy with a focus on reducing, reusing and recycling. The initiative forms part of the brand's commitment towards taking bold steps to building a more sustainable future. Speaking to Joy Business as part of the Green Ghana Day celebration, Marketing and Innovations Director of Guinness Ghana Breweries, Estella Muzito, said her outfit will continue to take active steps towards championing sustainability.
We've started, very seriously putting in our best effort to really drive the conversation around environmental conservation. So last year, we made a decision globally, as a #1 Scotch whiskey, to start reducing some of our packaging. You know very well that the boxes that we pack in some of our brands, have to come from trees. And we felt, one of the first steps to really reducing on our carbon footprint was to start rethinking our packaging. So the next thing that we thought about as a team was, what else could we do on the ground to really, really show how serious we are about the environment? And so that's why we are here today. We said, why not contribute to the, tree planting agenda?
Estella Muzito, Marketing and Innovations Director of Guinness Ghana Breweries, producers of Johnny Walker. Let's turn to the stock market and take a look at how your investment will fare this week. Here's Grace Munayon of DataBank Research.
Last week, the stock market registered 5 price movers of 3 Guinea closed 10 pesos higher to 1 cedi 19 pesos. Farm milk also climbed up a peso to end the week at 1 cedi 31 pesos. Conversely, the 2 insurance companies listed on the bourse, Enterprise Group and SIC, fell 2 pesos and a peso respectively. Consequently, the Ghana Stock Exchange Composite Index increased 4.87% weekly to extend its year-to-date gain to 7.92%. The DataBank Stock Index also climbed 3.44% weekly, reducing its year-to-date loss to 3.13%. On the outlook for this week, we tip the share price of farm milk to rise on demand, while Enterprise Group fall due to selling pressures. For Joy Business Reports, Grace Munayon of DataBank Research.
Thanks, Grace. The markets, as we wrap up this morning, beginning with the commodity market, crude oil open trading at $73 a barrel, gold lost almost $3, selling this morning at $1,958 an ounce. Cocoa However, went up by $38. It opened trading this morning at $3,175 a ton. On the currency market, we are beginning this week at 11 cedis, 70 pesos to the dollar on the forex or retail market. The pound going for 14 cedis, 55 pesos, and the euro selling this morning at 12 cedis, 50 pesos. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. Thanks for listening, everyone. The Super Morning Show continues with Winstonia.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sechu.
You.
What have I done again? You have a lovely day, Darryl Carr, for joining us with the Joy Business Report. Time now for our inspirational song for today, brought to us by Duraplast Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC pipes and water tank. Where Duraplast goes, water flows. And today's inspirational song